Beautiful day in southern Alberta. Is 65 horses enough to go over the Rocky Mountains? Well, I could talk about it all day, but instead let's go flying and find out.
Alrighty, welcome. 1939 Luscombe 8A. It is an all-fabric wing. There's a center tank behind me, which is obviously the best place for a fuel tank. The hat's in dad mode, so you know what that means. We're going flying. And what better way to talk about horsepower and what you need to cross the Rocky Mountains than to go do it in a 65 horse Luscombe, is what I think. So I do this trip a few times a year. Today, outside air temperature right now showing 22 degrees. We're at 3,370 feet ground elevation. So if we run the math on the density altitude, it's pretty high. When we were looking at buying this airplane, the comments that we got were along the lines of, it's a great price point, it's affordable, but you're at 4,000 foot elevation to start with, and then throw summertime in. It's a bit of a consideration. So we thought that we would be relatively limited in this airplane in the summertime when it came to uplifting, passengers, bags, fuel, and all that sort of stuff out of these strips. This one in particular, 2,700 feet. Now that said, I have found from personal experience that this aircraft far exceeded my expectations in terms of performance. It's been up to 12,000 feet a couple times. Now, not all 65 horse airplanes are the same. My theory is because of the rag wing, so because of the fabric wing on this aircraft, we get less wing loading, which in turn increases performance. There's a lot of things you have to be careful, and I'll cover that when we're flying over the beautiful Rockies today. So, in short, stay tuned and we'll answer the question, is 65 horsepower enough to cross the Rocky Mountains? Indus traffic, Yankee Urban November's rolling on a 27 color board. Alright, here we go, going to BC. Browsing the internet one day about flying in planes like a pilot does, and of course a bunch of other pilots were chirping in and chiming in on a forum. They're talking about power plants and aircraft. Oh, that's not enough power for this airplane. Oh, you need an O200. You need at least 100 horses for that machine. Various machines they were talking about. And finally, one guy comments and he goes, back in the 1970s, we were flying 65 horse champs across the Sierra Nevadas. It's not what you're flying, it's how you're flying it. Had a laugh at that. But it actually got my gears turning a little bit and thinking about what he said. And he's right. And knowing that this is a 65 horse airplane that doesn't like to climb when it's hot out, 300 to 400 feet per minute at best, I decided to start flying it like a glider. So I take off out of Invermere and climb out to the east side of the airport at the base of the Rockies, and I would find a thermal and I'd circle in it, tight at times. Climb up to 9,000 feet, go to my next thermal, climb up to 10, and then point pretty much straight east for home. And that's how I've been able to climb to 11 or 12,000 feet in this airplane, is because I'm bouncing off all of the thermals as I fly over the rocks. I'm not just going in a direct line or a line that follows the valley. I'm looking at the conditions, the topography, and figuring out where I'm going to have the most performance out of that. Because at the end of the day, this airplane, there's no doubt, is performance limited. But if I can augment its performance by using Mother Nature, I'll be successful in flying over big rocks and conditions that people think 65 horse Luscombe shouldn't go. So I'm coming up to a mountain pass here where there's a gap in the rocks and I want to cross it. Knowing that the wind is from the east-southeast, albeit light, I still want to keep that into consideration. So I'm going to pass on the right side of this because I know that the lee of the left side mountain is going to provide some rotor and downdraft. But if I'm on the other side, I'm into the upslope, orographic lift caused by the wind or thermals or whatever, so that I know that I'm going to have performance increase conditions. It's always an important thing to think about when you're crossing these mountain passes. That's all she wrote for another successful mountain crossing in a 65-horse Luscombe. The comb can do it. Alrighty, here we are in the mighty comb. And we're gonna go from Invermere to Elko Airport for a little camping trip. Got the boys coming out from Vancouver to join us, so it's gonna be a pretty fun time. Invermere traffic, Fox Yankee Romeo November's at Luscombe. We're fired up at the Soaring Center, taxiing for backtrack 33. It'll be a southbound departure for Elko next. Okay, clear on the left, clear on the right. I did my run up already today, so life is good. Okay, so we got the trim in the takeoff position, got carb heat hot on for the time being, cabin heater, primer locked, mags are on both, instruments, oil temperature pressures in the green. We made a call, life is good, radar off time, and here we go. Invermere Yankee Romeo November's rolling 33, we'll call airborne, Invermere. In the turn to climb, I've got the airport made if I need it, which of course is most important. Always plan for the worst case scenario. 65-horse Luscombe in the Rocky Mountains. And boy, that hill looks pretty close, right? Agreed. But the key to flying these things with low power is to find lift, just like gliders do, to assist you in climbing and assist you in your cruise phase. Otherwise, you'll just be stuck in the weeds the whole time pretty much trying to get a climb. But if you can find a thermal, like I'm trying to find right now, there's one as we speak, then you can get a bonus climb and your climb to cruise is a lot faster and safer. Just going up like a rocket ship in this thermal here. Gained about 400 feet in the first 360-degree turn. They're pretty turbulent thermals today. Well, gained about 800 feet in those 3 turns. Now we're in a better spot for a bit of a cruise climb. Turbulent day here, holy. Well, stiff wind from the west, I can tell, because we're barely going towards the airport here. Elko Yankee Romeo November's crossing overhead, Jonah left now at 2-1, full stop Elko. Gotta stay on this side of this hill so I don't get downwash from the wind here, because it's quite a bit of a bite to it today. There's the wind. Yankee Romeo November's a left base, turning final for 2-1 Elko. Yeah, that's a lot of wind. Bit of turbulence too to go with it.
this performance increase here. Come on. Here we go. Tricky conditions today.